So, do you have any wild animals running around in your mind these days? Hey friends, it's Pastor Mike from Fellowship Church. Always good to connect with you midweek for another midweek message. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying warm and staying safe as well. That question for you again, you got any wild animals running around in your mind? Kind of a strange question. Come back to it in a minute. If you were with us this past Sunday, or if you followed us online, you know that we spent a Sunday morning together talking about training your brain. It's based on that passage out of Philippians 4:8, where God says to us, if anything, or whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And that's God's way of saying, in the life of Christ, as you and I are all striving to become more and more like Christ, God says it's in the details. God's not interested in just the big things, kind of the big list of do's and don'ts. But God says, I actually want the life of Jesus Christ to find its way into your mind so that the very way that you think, the thoughts that you think and the thoughts that you don't think, are literally becoming more Christ-like over time. So God gives us that little bit of a filter in Philippians 4:8, and then God says, think about those things. Be intentional about it, training your brain. Now, you might come away from that thinking, yeah, but I'm still not quite sure how to do that. Well, there's another passage in the book of Corinthians where the Apostle Paul says that we are to take every thought captive to make it obedient to Christ. Taking thoughts captive? What in the world is that all about? Well, when the Bible says to take something captive, it literally means to capture something the same way that they would have captured a wild animal. So the way in which we would capture a wild animal, God says, I want you to use that same process to capture thoughts. It's literally the same word they would use to describe someone who would become a prisoner of war, someone who had been captured and is now a captive. And of course, that idea of being a captive means that you're now controlling something. When wild animals have been captured, they're now under control. So God says, I want you to look through your mind. I want you to sift through all of your thoughts. And because your desire is to become more and more like Christ every day, and you've already taken care of kind of the big things, I want you to focus on every thought in your mind. Friends, you think hundreds or thousands of thoughts every day. And God says, my desire is that you would sift through those thoughts, find the ones that are, let's just call them the wild animals of the mind. God says, I want you to take them captive and make them obedient to Christ. More and more of life becoming obedient to Christ. Now, friends, that might sound a little bit extreme to you, but understand what God's heart for you is. God's desire is that more and more you and I would become like Jesus every day of our life. And yes, of course, that involves the big things, but it involves the small things well. And here's something I've discovered. Spiritual maturity is in the little things. Spiritual maturity is not just in the big things. We understand the big things. Those are kind of the easy ones up front. But the more we live out our Christian faith, the more God's desire is for us to take captive even the little things in our life that are not Jesus. So let me ask you a question. If you were to take a long, hard look in your mind today and all of the thoughts that run through your mind, how many of them are Jesus thoughts and how many not? And God says, the thoughts that are not, I want you to take them captive and make them obedient to Jesus Christ. Friends, that's the life of Christ, and that's God's heart for you. I hope you're having a great week again. May you take care of yourself. Again, be safe out there on the roads and so on. And take a good long look at your mind today and ask yourself the question, have I taken every thought captive to make it obedient to Christ? Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.